Hey y'all, welcome back after 2 weeks off. Kevin and I needed to recover from the debacle of a backyard brawl. I
Never
don't,
want to relive that moment ever again.
I'm sorry. That was Brad. I don't know if you watch, and everyone that's listening and watching, we have our old college friend and classmate Bryan Thompson joining us. He currently is down in LSU. So Bryan, say hello to everybody.
Hey everybody, thank you guys for having me. And yes, I did watch the Backyard Brawl, and needless to say, I'm still recovering, just like you guys are. But happy to be here, guys.
Yeah,
We're
that
happy to
was
have you.
Yeah, always happy to have you on here. That game, we'll of course talk about it in a few minutes, but yeah, I don't know. I think that's why Kevin's not on the screen. I think he's still crying. Or anything along those lines. Uh,
Definitely not crying. Honestly, us talking about it still kind of infuriates me, and to
uh,
think about that. But we'll dive in it whenever we want to
we'll
dive
get
in.
there. We'll get there. All right. So since Kevin's not, can't tell if he's wearing a jersey. Kevin, are you wearing a jersey tonight? Because
So there was no way I was wearing like a Dove sweatshirt for right now. I'm honestly in retirement of Dove stuff just for like the next like 3 weeks. But I was currently wearing a team that is winning, my Pittsburgh Steelers. I bought a shirt when we were in
oh
town,
yeah.
and I wore it this weekend, and I figured I was gonna wear it on the pod that you guys could see it, but of course camera problems, are real out here. So, maybe I'll take a picture of myself and post it on the Instagram to show which one I'm wearing. But, that's all I had today. And I know you have your green hat on because Celtics Media Day happened.
Oh, well, I'm just wearing this hat because I actually found a hat that I just bought, and it's the
Bless.
ducks fly together.
Love
Quack, quack,
that.
quack, Mr.
Quack
Ducksworth.
quack.
Quack,
So
quack.
it's from Beauty Status. I literally saw it on Instagram, and I was like, that hat is awesome because it's the Mighty Ducks from when we were all little kids. So I had to buy it.
For sure.
Great, great spending of money right there. But let's dive into what happened in the week of sports before we talk about the debacle of a West Virginia football team, and then talk about the Tigers and what
Sure.
Brian does down there. So biggest news probably coming out of the NFL that's not actual NFL related news of like the games is Brett Favre has allowed everyone to know that he's diagnosed with Parkinson's disease. Just came out a couple days ago. So whenever this episode gets aired, it was probably last week. But yep, Brett Favre diagnosed with Parkinson's. Sad to see. But at the end of the day, it is what it is.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
I
mean,
don't know.
I
Have
like
any
Brett
thoughts on
Favre
that?
that like, oh, sorry, Kev. I just a guy
No,
like
you're
Brett
good.
Favre
You do
that
your thing. You're rocking out.
no, man. I mean, it's just a guy like Brett Favre who's an icon from the 90s of all of us kind of growing up. That was actually one of the first Super Bowls that I remember was Favre, Reggie White going against the New England Patriots and Drew Bledsoe. I think it
Thanks.
was like 90,
That was
gotta be
93.
90. Yeah, there you go. So from that type of standpoint, yeah, tough news, but unbelievable career. One of my favorite guys. That dude could just sling that ball, man. Unbelievable.
That's all he could do. He just threw that ball all over the place. And you're like, all right, cool. Well, all right. That was good.
Yeah,
So
I mean, with Favre, it's just like he just loved the game. One of those guys that just loved the game of football, and that like was like shown in the fact that like he was willing to leave the team that he carried for so many years to try and win one with in Minnesota, and then you can't forget about that infamous moment he was on the Jets. Like man, I remember that
oh my
time when
God.
like that year the Jets they had like the defense was out of control. He had guys like LaDainian Tomlinson on that same team, and it was just like I think Santonio Holmes was on that Jets team, Jason Taylor on the defensive line. It was a stacked team, and then when Brett Favre got hurt, it just went down
And
from
and
there.
when he was in Minnesota, who I can't remember the receiver that was out there that he just had the greatest connection with besides like when he had Donald Driver and the other crew. I just remember I just can remember the iconic touchdown in the back of the end zone. Favre just slinging it from 30, 40 yards out, and it's back end zone. You're like, who's he? Touchdown. So yeah, it's rough because like we all know, he's done great things for football, and we're not going to talk about the other stuff because that's all legal matters, and that is not what we're about. So we'll jump into a couple of the other things. WNBA playoffs is full swing. Kevin, our New York Liberty are now going to play the Aces in the second round, which feels like we're being cheated out of a WNBA finals so early.
That is wild. This is like what the equivalent of. What would you compare this to?
If it was like the New York Knicks and Boston Celtics playing in the second round, and
Yeah,
they're both like a 4-5 seed, and they should be better, I would assume, kind of something along those lines, or it's the Steelers Patriots playing in the first round of playoffs and going, this should be a Super Bowl, like, or AFC Championship game instead.
yeah. I feel like that series is gonna go 5. I really hope it doesn't go 5 because
Oh god.
the Aces are just really good. And I watched the part of the game so I watched both games. I watched the Liberty rock out and just take it to the dream, and it was a little closer than I expected. But shout out to Sabrina putting up 36 points in front of Spike Lee and Whoopi Goldberg. And I watched the first half of the Aces dominating Seattle, and I'm just very scared because Chelsea Gray, their point guard that has been out or like kind of injured throughout the entirety of this year, she's absolutely like
Killing
running
it.
on all cylinders right now. And this is not the time to be running on all cylinders for the Aces if you're a Liberties fan. So it's gonna be as they say in the wrestling world, it's gonna be a slobber knocker. And I I'm excited to watch that series. Just before I hopped on, I watched the Caitlin Clark and the Sun. They just lost, but it was a very, very well played game. And shout out to the Fever for making it to the playoffs, because the way they started, they definitely were not going to be going to the playoffs. But I'm excited to see their future now, to see Caitlin Clark and Aaliyah Boston and the rest of that crew develop, because they're going to be probably really scary once they start to really nail it and figure out how to properly play as a pro.
Yeah, totally agree. And I was just going to say that too. The game just ended. I didn't see much of it. I was literally ironing clothes since 7 o'clock. So
They were coming back within the last minute. Like I think the Fever
Jesus.
got it down to 3,
Oh
but
wow.
Connecticut was able to finish them off with just making sure they're hitting their free throws, and that just pretty much ended the game from there. So I
Darn.
believe they play the winner of the Lynx and the Mercury that are playing right now. I believe the Lynx are up right now 1-0, and if they win, then they move on, or if Phoenix can win, then it goes back to Phoenix.
Is it them? I thought they were playing the Storm.
No, the Storm were the ones that got absolutely obliterated by the Aces
Ah,
last.
okay. Okay, yeah. Yeah, because the first game that they only scored 2 points in the fourth quarter. I saw that. That's horrendous. And the great defense by the Aces.
Well, that
Um,
just shows how good the Aces are. They're just studs.
well, we'll see how they go against the Liberty. Hopefully it's 2 games and done. Or 3 games and done, whatever it
3
is.
games and done. Yep.
Yeah. Next is an end of an era. Oakland Athletics will no longer be playing in Oakland after this week or next week. Um, I guess the owners and MLB have told the teams, once the game is over, get off the field, go to the clubhouses, because they're expecting people to storm the field.
Really?
Yeah,
Wow.
I was reading something. It said, because they you'd assume majority of the team wants to take a big picture as a team out on the field one last time, commemorate the ending of their time in Oakland. Well, now there's reports that they think the fans are going to storm the field, that all this stuff. So they've told everyone just to go back in the clubhouse, and it kind of ruins an ending of an era that none of us want to see end. because Oakland Athletics has been around for eons, and we all know how good they used to be, how good they are sometimes. And we got Billy Bean because of them, and Moneyball. So we have all that, and now it's gonna hopefully, hopefully it doesn't end on such a bad mark with how they're projecting to end, but it is what it is, sadly.
Did you see the sports commentator, local sports commentator rant that he had on the A's? It was been going around. So basically, the A's sent out a letter to all their season ticket holders that, like, for the last 10 years we've been trying to, build a stadium with like state funding and everything. And, pretty much he's just saying that, like, I'm sorry, you don't have a stadium, you don't have a team. We didn't have a choice, but we tried. And it just sounds just like a superficial letter from the ownership. And the sportscaster just goes off of that. Your attempt at building a new stadium was so flawed from the beginning that, apparently you're going to Sacramento, and apparently there are still no plans for actually what you're going to do in building a stadium in Vegas.
Yeah, because it
So
hasn't been approved. They have the city hasn't approved it.
yeah, it's kind of crazy. If I could find it, I'll try and send it to you.
Oh, I
But
definitely need to read that.
no, it's you need to watch it. It's a 5 minute rant on a
Oh,
local Oakland like news station where he's just going to town, and the two like lady announcers just like, "Wow, you are very very passionate about this. We need to move to the next segment." But like, it was pretty crazy. Um,
yeah,
like,
send
which just
that
goes
over.
in on how the ownership of the A's have sucked for so long, and that he's begging for the MLB owners for them to just like have them sell the team to somebody else.
Yeah, that should have happened years ago because they are the cheapest owners. Besides, I would have to say the Red Sox at this point, in baseball, because they believe in that whole Moneyball scheme of let's just keep no one that's good on the roster and get rid of them all and just pay nothing and have a stadium that is empty 99.9% of the time. Great way to run a baseball team. Um,
Oh, I
hope,
found it. I'm gonna send this to you.
okay, send that over. I'll watch it later. And
Yeah,
when
I'll send it in the little group thread on the Instagram, but it is pretty epic. I think it's literally 5 minutes. It is five
oh
minutes
my
of your
God.
time that is totally worth it. But I will say, when you speak about the Oakland A's, like I don't know if you guys have ever seen like the stadium or in person. It is definitely like, talk about cheap. Like, it looks aged, like no improvements. The last time I was there was when they still had the Oracle Arena, when it was right next to where the Warriors play. And you could
Jesus.
just tell that it's just like there should be things done to like make it improved like visually, and they just haven't put in the money to do it. And like, if you're a professional sports team, you're probably looking at like other like stadiums and other like towns, like, damn, that stadium's pretty legit. And now
Hmm.
we're here in like the Stone Age. So, but yeah, that's all I got.
All right, well, I can't wait to watch that. I will watch that probably tomorrow morning at some point. Um, but talking about other sports, and Kevin mentioned at the beginning of the podcast of me wearing a green hat for the Celtics. NBA and NHL have started their preseason, or well, their new seasons. NHL has already started preseason. Uh, I think the Bruins are down in New York next on Thursday, Kevin, against your Rangers. Um,
Oh, that's
but
fun. Maybe I can try and see that game. I don't know if I'm off though.
it's tomorrow, so
Oh, I thought you said next Thursday because
no,
that
it's
would
this
play.
Thursday, like tomorrow, like 7 o'clock tomorrow night. They'll be playing in Madison Square Garden.
Ah, damn. Well, we'll see. Maybe I can like catch it if it's
Yeah,
like, if the tickets aren't like a good zillion dollars for a preseason game.
it's preseason. No one goes to preseason.
True.
So, but then NBA, of course, they all opened up. Their training camps start tomorrow. I believe the Celtics and the Nuggets actually started theirs 2 days early because they get to go to Dubai and play a couple games out there. Um, yeah, that's it. I'm just excited for basketball to be back because this football season has been atrocious to watch. So
Shout
yeah,
out to your Patriots for losing to the Jets on Thursday night.
you know,
You're giving, hey, on again, I've said this many times on the podcast, Brian. This is just, everyone getting
payback.
back at the Patriots for the last 10, 15 years of our lives on how they had to torment us with Tom Brady. So
20.
every single loss, especially for someone like me, lives in the tri-state area and had the opportunity to watch the Patriots play in person, working at that stadium to just, see how much the Patriots have caused so much misery to us and to this city, it feels good to just see the Patriots lose. So, Merritt, I'm sorry. I'm still just gonna hold to that. And you will have your time one day when Drake May starts to become the second coming of Tom Brady.
Hey, as long as he can run better, I don't care. I just, I'm ready to see what they can do if he actually goes out because now the rumor is that he'll play sooner rather than later, which scares the crap out of me with an offensive line that can't block water. Like, couldn't stop
with me
anything.
being with me being a lifelong Eagles fan, needless to say,
Uh,
the revenge of '04 that happened with Nick Foles is I will chime in, Kevin, and second the motion that it feels good to see that the Patriots are coming back to reality.
you know
Yeah,
what?
it is fantastic.
Yeah, your Eagles have their wings clipped at this point this year already with Sirianni.
That's true. I mean, the guy, yeah. Well, I think the guy kind of plays Madden sometimes, right there. The fact that when we're recording this, we just beat the Saints, but if it wasn't for a 65-yard run by Saquon Barkley, my beloved Eagles would be 1-2 right now. So, needless to say.
Yeah, true. I don't know. We'll see. It's been a very interesting NFL season to start. And that's perfect segue into the next thing. I, I watched the Bills game the other night against Jaguars. I thought the Bills would be horrible after losing some of the defensive guys and getting rid of Diggs. This team looks legit at this point. And it's only game three. We're going into week four, but they look like the real deal. Finally. Maybe it took 6 years with McDermott and Josh Allen to figure out what to do, but they do look like the real deal. And the Chiefs are still the new Patriots of getting every call for them or against them in any way possible. It's unreal at this point. But Kevin, hats off to your Steelers. Are 3-0. Still are not
By the
committed to.
graces of God and in typical Steeler football to cause people to have heart attacks. I don't know how we're 3-0. I'm taking it. I know we'll be crashing to reality soon, but I'm just super proud. Number one, shout out to WV alum Zach Frazier for stepping in to be the starting center after the starting center went down during preseason. So shout out to him for holding it down. They've been saying that he's been grading out really well as their starting center. So shout out to him. Justin Fields, I just think he still kind of has that PTSD from when he's with the Bears. Like he doesn't know how to sit in the pocket, so he just starts running for his life when technically he doesn't really need to do that. But yeah, I'm happy that we're three. I think we're 3-0. We're gonna play the Colts this week. You know, what's his
That's
name? Anthony Richardson kind of makes me a little nervous with his running, but we're fingers crossed that we can go ahead and keep this momentum rolling.
Yeah, we'll see. They still have no idea who you're going to be a starting quarterback, but
Yeah,
play it
no,
by ear.
it's hey, I'm happy that he's getting his reps now, get his practice. So then if Russell comes in, and he's healthy, he can learn a little bit from Russell. And then if Russell just becomes the Denver Russell that we saw, then we can put Fields back in. So yeah, I don't think it's not a loss if Fields got to go back to the bench because I think he's going to be learning from one of the best out here. He's a Super Bowl champ, Russell Wilson. So he's just been plagued by a shitty team and a system that just wasn't meant for him. So fingers crossed. I'm hopeful.
Huh? There's one thing I do want to mention this, and this has come up today with UNLV and now a USC D lineman. So you had two UNLV guys that have left or have redshirted after 4 games because of NIL money. And then you have a defensive end from USC who is a junior who is redshirting because of NIL money and is entering the transfer portal immediately.
Well, the USC guy was based off of playing time.
Was it? Okay, I just saw that
It wasn't.
popped
It
up.
wasn't off of the whole NIL like agreements that he may have had. But I will say, to talk about that point, I think that is, excuse my French, a little shitty of that quarterback to be doing that, because you're pretty much just let your whole team down for selfish reasons. And super, super unfortunate for UNLV starting out 3-0, and then all of a sudden something happens on the back end like this. I think that's super scary, and you know, this is probably the start of some things changing when it comes to those things.
Yeah, it's just not fun for anyone involved. It's almost like now, like all I can think of is when Jaden Daniels left ASU and went to LSU, what his teammates did with like destroying his locker. I feel like that's what the UNLV guys are doing to that quarterback or running back's locker at this point. Not a good look.
Selfishly, I'll say it worked out pretty well for Jaden Daniels.
I think a Heisman Trophy and a #2 overall draft pick. I think he did pretty good for himself after that, and having a great game against the Bengals this past Sunday, leading him down for a game-winning drive. So yeah, I think he's pretty good. Made a good decision.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, we love JD5 down here. Obviously, what he's done for the 2 years that he was here at LSU, and I think it was a segment of Monday night where they talked about him feeling like he was living in a little bit of Joe Burrow's shadow down here, and glad to see both those guys play a really pretty much flawless game for both of them. Just it's weird to say the Commanders, but the Commanders made the plays down the stretch, and he truly shined in terms of throwing that deep ball, which was great.
Yeah, he did, and they finally opened it up for him instead of just little dump passes that he had been doing or making him run as much as he has. But I'm excited to see what he can do.
It was a good day for the brand down here at LSU when you have Burrow playing at the clip that he did that day. Jamar Chase scoring that touchdown, the first touchdown of the game. Obviously, Jaden Daniels showing out. Malik Neighbors playing unbelievable for the Giants right now.
Oh, yeah, he's crushing it. He's making a lot of my friends who are Giant fans up here very, very happy, and just hoping that they can find a quarterback to actually, really throw it to him. But everybody's loving what Neighbors is doing right now, and he's crushing it.
You guys don't need a quarterback.
Keep your eye out for Bryan Thompson Jr. down in Jacksonville. Nothing against their state of their team right now, but watching those two guys and Neighbors and Thomas last year, the ceiling is very high for both of them. So excited to see. I mean, Jacksonville just needs a more defined offensive line. I mean, I think that Trevor Lawrence definitely has the capabilities of being a elite quarterback. I mean, we saw that 2 years ago. But yeah, Bryan Thomas Jr., that's a name.
Yes.
And if you're in a sleeper pool, because I don't promote fantasy football, working in college athletics, but if I work, that's a 8 to 9 round draft pick that will provide some bonus points for you in that flex.
Right. Kevin, remember that for next year.
No, I already learned, because I have him in my flex pool in multiple leagues. So thank you, Brian, for making. I trusted my judgment, and now it has been confirmed.
Yeah, that's just the Matthew Berry part of the interview right there.
Love it. Well, let's go talk about the school that all three of us went to, and the school that is making Kevin question everything these days.
Keep it brief.
We're gonna keep the Pitt game brief. The Kansas game, I watched the whole thing. That was a good game. The Pitt game, great start, great second quarter, great third quarter. And then let's just, excuse my French, shit the bed in the last 5 minutes, 10 minutes of the game. Yeah, horrible clock management, stupid plays to run up the middle when we had been dominant running outside the tackles all game against a weak outside Pitt defense. Yeah, that's really it. The only thing that I can add is my wife after the game, because she was watching it on TV here back in New Hampshire, and she texted me. She goes, "Don't get into any fights." I was like, I'm not. I don't plan on it. I walked out of that stadium mad at West Virginia, but I also realized it's a game. Can't do anything more about it than be pissed off at a team and move on to the next one. So that's where it is. Kevin, how do you feel? I know we've kind of talked about it, but how are you feeling after a couple weeks of letting it simmer?
Oh no, it's still there. It's not. It's still simmering. There's not. It's. I just can't justify myself spending my hardworking money to be going traveling and to just go home completely heartbroken. Like, I just can't do it. I just can't do it. It's too difficult. Like walking back to the hotel, which was shout out to our hotel, great hotel, super close, but I just cannot deal. I officially hate University of Pitt fans. You know, their fun little name calling thing, and we're not gonna say it on here because it's stupid. But getting hurled that a lot more than we did the last time we were in Pittsburgh, and I was just like, damn, that's a lot. But yeah, my thoughts on our football program. I just gonna take it one game at a time. You can't really trust it. It's just you're gonna put yourself in a heart attack world of emotions, and it happens to us every year. We do this to ourselves every year. Forever the bridesmaid, never the bride. It's just literally like all I know is I definitely will never go to a West Virginia game that is in the city of Pittsburgh for the eternity because I think I'm a jinx. And I I don't know. It's hard for me to be convinced that our coach is going to be still having a job after this year if he's going to be mediocre because this is probably the best team that he's had in his
Mhm.
tenure here. It's going to take a lot for the fans to really, really get behind him. I was listening to a podcast. They're saying that there's like a really tough stretch where it's like Kansas State, like Oklahoma State, and then like I think like Baylor or something like that. Like they're talking that like if they can get like 4-1, that might ease a little of the tension from this game, which I would say they'd probably have to go undefeated, in my opinion, if they're going to do that. But yeah, I don't know. Like there, a lot of people like to talk, because there's a big fish that's chilling in his pond. If y'all get my drift, there, that is that is hanging out at home and loves football, is a national champion, and if that person wants to come home and coach, I mean, I don't think that would be a bad idea. I know there have been ups and downs, and I listen to like podcasts that that whether this person should be coaching or is this person too old school. But yeah, I don't think it could get any more. It can't get any better or any worse unless like we start putting W's on the board. So that's my little soliloquy there. Yeah, that's what
Well,
I got because I just you know I need to see more. I need to see more in time to prove that we're making something happen.
well, Kevin, I can tell you this. You've mentioned the tough stretch that we have, and that's right after this week's bye week. You go Oklahoma State, Iowa State, Kansas State, Arizona. And then you have a bye. They need to go 3-1 to be successful in that, I would say.
You would hope, because I'll say this: if we don't go to a bowl game this year,
Oh, he
that's
doesn't have a job.
very trouble. That's very troubling.
He does not have a job. If you do not go to a bowl game and have a winning record, you do not have a job. I think that's writing on the wall after that Pitt game. But Brian, what are your thoughts? Because you you've been quiet.
Uh, Here's what I'll say. Obviously going to school there. I don't know if you guys know this, but both my parents went to West Virginia. 3 out of 4 of my siblings went to West Virginia. So
That's incredible.
I've been
Wow.
ingrained in this ever since birth. So much so that I'll elaborate on that. I'm number 21 out of 25 in my family to go to West Virginia. This has been a long lasting love affair with our beloved Mountaineers. And here's what I'll say, and I'll try to take the working capacity, since I had the great privilege of working there for 4 years in their fundraising office. You know, growing up a Mountaineer fan, watching Mark Bulger, Amos Arroway, Avon Colburn, Sheen Marshall, Chris Henry, Grant Wiley, Mike Lorello, I'm just naming guys, just Pac-Man, obviously. We had such a great stretch within those days of the Big East, right? Where you had this surgence of what was Mountaineer football, and kind of really set kind of the new bar. And I think when you look at our fan base and you look at us as alums and those in our mid 30s, we're accustomed to that style of winning, right? When we were there at school, we were there for Coach Stewart, who carried the torch after Rich Rod left. And then we had 1 year of Dana. And during our time there, let's see here, we went to the Fiesta Bowl. Well, we were seniors in high school or freshmen in college when we went to the Fiesta Bowl and won. And then by our senior years, we won the Orange Bowl. So there's this nucleus core group of fans and supporters that are accustomed to winning these 10 games and playing in these predominantly big bowl games. Winning's tough. And I say that wholeheartedly, just from a standpoint of being a person on what many people would classify as the inside, seeing what's behind the curtain of Oz or what's in the cupboard when a coach leaves and trying to rebuild. And I think Neil's done a really good job with that. Obviously these are now his players. So, sure, it's frustrating. Absolutely. You never want to lose a rivalry game, especially to Pitt. But it's also one of those things where, the quality of competition that we're playing in the Big 12 now, is way different than the competition that we played in the last few years of the Big East. I mean, the days of USF in East Carolina, aren't coming through to Milan Puskar Stadium anymore. I mean, and granted, we Big 12 lost Texas and Oklahoma to the SEC, but you're bringing in some bona fide studs as well. So, yeah, like any alumnus, I was frustrated, of course, but that's just the passion that we have because we want the best, and especially against Pitt. But I like the style of play that West Virginia has shown this year, more so in that Kansas game. As I watched the highlights, because we had a game last week here down in Baton Rouge. But yeah, I think it's tough. I think it's tough because there's this break up with me or marry me forever type deal with Neil. And I think that the fan base is kind of at either polar opposites of the ends of that spectrum. But like Merritt said, it's a game. It's 18 to 22-year-old kids going out there and giving it their all. And hopefully with the few games that we're able to kind of string along some wins.
That'd be the hope. We'll see what they do. They got the week off, so we don't have to worry about it. But last week,
Very well said, Brian. That was so eloquently said.
Was that like the political? I know
That was
it's
a perfect political answer. I love
thanks. Yeah.
it.
Phenomenal.
But like Brian mentioned, with the Kansas game last week, it showed a lot of that West Virginia team where they were winning, tied, winning, tied. It went back and forth for a little bit, and then all of a sudden Kansas went up big, and they had to fight to get back in that game. And you let Garrett Green take over. You let him run the offense. You let him make the call. Um, that touchdown pass to Cole Taylor was phenomenal. And then the end around and throw to Taylor for the 2-point conversion was great. That was unbelievable. And then the touchdown that won it, I didn't know that was Gallagher's first touchdown ever as a Mountaineer.
Yeah.
Unreal that's his first one, but a game-winning one. And then the strip sack at the end sealed it. And you saw that defensive line is really good. And that has been a strong suit on our defense for the past 4 or 5 years. But that scared me with the cornerbacks a few times. No offense to Kansas. I really don't want a little white guy running around and having almost 200 yards receiving against us. He was playing real good. But hopefully they can take that momentum into the bye, rest up, get healthy, because we lost like 6 guys during that Kansas game. It was ridiculous. Everyone was going down. So we'll see. We got Oklahoma State at Oklahoma State, which is never an easy place to play. Last time we played there, we did have a 3-headed monster of young running backs that just ran through them in a rain game. So maybe that happens again, but I'd like to see us go out and play like we did against Kansas. That game did give you a little bit of hope and a glimpse into what this offense could be like.
Absolutely. And then you go and you look at the lightning delay. I mean, it's the second time this year that we're talking about a lightning delay. I mean, how many years has that happened? But the resiliency in terms of watching the replay that I did on Sunday, it was, good to see. Good point about Garrett. I think that he's a improviser. He very much is the leader of that team and shoulders the burden of pain and loss, but always gives the rest of his teammates all the praise when we do well. So good point, man. I mean, I think that you need a week to get healthy. I think that there's just the emotional roller coaster of Pitt and Penn State happening in a short period of time. And, obviously getting that first Big 12 win could be a snowball effect, really. But, it's a big test on the road against Oklahoma State. Stillwater, sneaky good Big 12 school. You guys ever get the chance to go to Stillwater? Fun atmosphere. That was one of my favorite places to visit when working for West Virginia. It's polar opposite of Norman, but a good sneaky college town for sure.
Oh, well, Kevin, add that to the list of places we want to go to watch a game.
Perfect. Written down.
All right, cool. It's a long list of places we want to go because we may not go to a Backyard Brawl for a while, so we might have to go pick a different place at this point. But let's talk about why you're here, and let's dive into as I've quoted it, the Go Tigers time. Spelled the correct way.
Sure.
So Brian, walk us through, how did you get to where you are now at LSU, and explain kind of what you do
Sure,
in your
absolutely.
role.
So athletic development is one of the many branches of what a college athletic department has. And what that is that you are you are the philanthropic support to the athletics department and kind of really enhancing the student athlete experience. And in terms of doing that, some of the responsibilities that we have as an organization is to raise high-end annual fund and major gift commitments for the athletic department's priorities. And those priorities vary at every single school. But, the main kind of 4 that everyone kind of is truly trying to focus on is capital projects, which is your facility enhancements that you're seeing across the country. Discretionary spending funding, meaning that, we down here at LSU call it the AD Excellence Fund. And what we do is it offsets any additional expenditures that we might accrue that we didn't account for when we did the budget a year and a half prior. The backbone of what college athletics is really founded on, which is the opportunity to provide scholarship support and scholarship endowment, which truly I believe at the core of what we do is the greatest gift that we could give these student athletes. And I say student athletes first because student is definitely in there. And then the last bucket that has kind of been gaining some traction, as you mentioned earlier with your example about UNLV, is name, image, and likeness, and kind of working in conjunction with these collectives in terms of raising dollars so that our student athletes have the opportunity to kind of leverage their brand and themselves to maximize themselves in this great platform that they've earned in terms of being student athletes, but also, kind of jointly with what they do on the field or on the playing surface and also in the community as well. So that's kind of what, in terms of the greater scope of what athletics development is. It's the philanthropic support that is by companies, boosters, general fans, to hopefully enhance the student athlete experience at your respected school.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, it's a kind of a niche field, to be honest with you. When you think about it, and obviously there's G5, P4, P5, whatever you guys want to call it, but we do a really good job of kind of keeping in close contact with our peers, whether it be within the conference or throughout the whole entire country. And it's a industry like many other segments of a athletic department, marketing, compliance, SIDs, that has a national convention that everyone goes to every single year, and you bounce ideas off of each other and and kind of learn from the group in terms of trying to implement some unique strategies to find creative ways to raise more funding, basically.
All right, Kevin, you want to ask the next one?
Yeah, sure. So Ryan, we know you're at LSU right now. Can you talk us through the process on what got you to end up at LSU? I know you mentioned that you were working for the Mountaineer athletic department for a little bit. So could you share with us what led you to Baton Rouge?
Sure, absolutely. Gosh, I'd say probably a lot of luck, great friendships, and a little hard work kind of led me down here to Baton Rouge. Obviously we're all classmates and graduates of the West Virginia sports management program. For me, undergraduate, really enjoyed our time together as classmates and learning from great professors that I felt that prepared us for life after school and also the professional landscape. From West Virginia, graduating with you guys, I went to the University of Michigan. I got my master's degree also in sports management. There at Michigan, I did a series of internships, one for a professor for the sports management program, but also worked in the Michigan football office under Coach Hoke and did football operations. And it was through that internship program that I kind of really was exposed to what is the development office or what is athletics development. At the time that I was there as an intern, they were doing a renovation to Schembeckler Hall, which is their football operations building. And, when you're logging in hours and you're kind of staying late or you're showing up early, there was a group of guys that were wearing these hard hats that were walking through with a series of, which I learned later were donors, and kind of sharing them and showing renderings and the vision in terms of what that building was going to be. And I kind of peeked around, kind of was like, hey, what do these guys do? And they go, oh, well, they're the development officers. They raised money and, these are the generous supporters to kind of build this, great facility for us to have the best for our student athletes. And I kind of did some more digging, kind of reached out to a few people within the industry, just from cold calling, kind of understanding how they got into this industry. And different than many other people, I graduated from Michigan and, thought that unbelievable degree would kind of land me a job. And because I didn't have any development tangible experience, which is what a lot of these entry jobs were kind of looking for, I had to, as I like to say, I eat crow. And I moved back home. I lived on in South Jersey, right outside of Philadelphia, and got an unpaid internship at Temple University and treated it like a full-time job. Worked nearly 70 hours a week, weekends, game days. And so much so, just, wanted to be a sponge, absorb as much of the industry that I could, whether it's renewal phone calls for donors that are giving $100 a year, or, helping out with raising events, golf outings, silent auctions, and kind of really observing of what it means to be a person of working in the development office. And after my year of doing that, there was some job opportunities that kind of presented itself, and I took a leap of faith and went down to Arkansas State University. It was between there and another school locally within Philadelphia, and I chose Arkansas State because they had football. And that was the greatest blessing for me, because it took a kid from the Northeast and kind of supplanted him in this foreign type of territory of the South, and understanding the donor base down there. Jonesboro, Arkansas was great 2 years. And when you're working at a group of 5 school, you don't have the luxury of a pretty robust staff. So you're wearing many hats, in the sense that I was a guy that oversaw, some of our events, stewardship. I took a lot of the ideas that happened at Temple and implemented them there at Arkansas State. And when you're able to kind of wear many hats, you're able to kind of dig deep and kind of understand what, truly means to kind of be successful within this industry, and kind of learning the landscape of what is athletics development. An opportunity presented itself to do made gifts, which is where you meet with donors one-on-one. You're more of a external presence within the office, and allowed me to kind of come back home to our alma mater for 4 years. And at, West Virginia, we did a lot of great things from a standpoint of going back to Morgantown now. You guys will probably see it, but we did the Climbing Higher Facilities Capital Campaign, which is comprised of the football operations building, Olympic sports weight room, a golf facility that's at Peak Dye down in Bridgeport, a new aquatic center that's at Milan Pushkar. And what I was tasked with doing, which is what I still do, is that I go out and I meet with alums, boosters, companies, friends of the program, to raise philanthropic dollars to the entity of what is college athletics, or the priorities of what is in that athletic department. And to be honest with you, really wasn't looking to leave West Virginia. I went to school there, as I mentioned. My wife, who I met at West Virginia, we were back home in that type of sense, and the opportunity presented itself down here at LSU to us, and we just kind of fell in love with it. The time at West Virginia was so meaningful for us that we felt that we did all that we could do collectively as a family, but also kind of professionally. And now this is going on year 3 down here at LSU, and very much in the same exact line of work. In terms of meeting with donors, it's a similar fan base. I will say it's a very prideful fan base. Like the Mountaineers running the state of West Virginia, I would say that the Tigers run the state of Louisiana, without a doubt. And it's fun, and we've had some pretty good success. We won a baseball national title, gymnastics national title, women's basketball national title, had a Heisman Trophy winner. So when you're part of that program and what is dubbed as kind of part of that brand, It's hard to, say that, and we were mentioning this earlier with Jane Daniels and Joe Burrow and Neighbors and everybody. It's probably the most predominant brand in college athletics right now. So we're loving it. The food down here sticks to you a little bit more than I would like to, but it's been fun, and we are really, really, really enjoying our time down here for sure.
That's awesome. That's all you got to hear. It sounds like you are thoroughly enjoying every atmosphere that you were a part of. And and LSU has to be an experience
For
for
sure.
sure.
For sure. Yeah. And it's, I think when you look at the atmosphere and kind of the great success that we've had over the last 3 years, I think it's a product of the leadership that we have here. Um, Different than any other place. The organization that I work for down here at LSU is the Tiger Athletic Foundation, also known as TAF. In other departments of athletic development, you're under the umbrella of what is the athletic department. Here at LSU, TAF is its own separate 501c3, which is a nonprofit organization. So we work in conjunction with the athletic department as their kind of fundraising financial arm for them. So you have a little bit more, kind of freedom in the sense of we're the ones that are shouldering a lot of the expenses for the athletic department, but we're also the ones that are tasked with going out there and trying to raise the necessary funding as well.
All right. Now, you've been at numerous venues, in your, I guess, professional career. What has been the best venue to be a part of for an athletic event
Cool.
so far? And I know that's a tough one because we were there for the LSU West Virginia game in college, and we know how crazy that was.
Yeah.
What has been that top one for you so far?
So, all right, let's break this down from a standpoint of as a fan and a professional, because
There
I
you
feel
go. Good.
like
That's a good way to do it.
I think that's like when you wear those different hats, I think it allows you to kind of, look through a different lens, right? All right, so from a fan type of perspective, uh, as a fan, as a student, nothing will beat College Game Day 2011 LSU against West Virginia. Dustin Garrison scoring that touchdown, 27-21, Seven Nation Army being blasted throughout. No one kind of talking. If you watch it on YouTube, it's great. I don't even, they come back from commercial and that aerial footage and everyone wearing gold and everyone going crazy. And ironically, I work for LSU now, but we kick off to Morris Claiborne and he runs it all the way back and it's just dead silent, which not here to bring up bad memories, but we did talk about the pit loss. So I might as well just, pile it on where I can. So atmosphere as a student, that won't be beat. Let me see here. A general fan at a venue that I was truly just a fan at. Ironically, that same year, 2011, I went up to the University of Michigan for my campus visit to go to graduate school that fall. West Virginia was playing somebody, and I totally forget it was. I don't think it's important, but I was at the first ever night game at Michigan Stadium under the lights, Michigan against Notre Dame, which was Tommy Rees and Manti Te'o against Denard Robinson, Roy Roundtree, and all those guys. And Denard throws that touchdown in the corner of the end zone with like 7 seconds left in the game, and Michigan wins their first ever night game ever. And 102, well, at that point, that was 112,000. It's the first time that Michigan Stadium was really loud, because I can say that because Michigan fans tend to sit on their hands. So, but from a working type of perspective, I'd say football 2 years ago, LSU, Bama, Brian Kelly, Nick Saban, overtime, Jaden Daniels, first play in overtime, takes it, boom, touchdown. BK decides to go for two. The pylon in the corner to Mason Taylor, touchdown. Basketball wise, working wise, I'd go 2019 Coliseum, West Virginia, Kansas. Jermaine Haley with the floater against number 7 Kansas when we were home. That was pretty sweet. We had no business winning that game. I think in 2019 we were a pretty down team.
Mhm.
But we did beat Kansas at home, which is always a fun little achievement for us to have. But I would say, to answer your question directly and not dance around anymore, the best venue that I have been at from any sort of type of working or fan perspective, and a bucket list thing for you guys to add to your list that you guys mentioned earlier, is without a doubt Allen Fieldhouse in Lawrence, Kansas. Like the mystique of that building, how it's updated on the complete exterior. They have great kind of club and kind of concourse spaces as well. They have the Naismith basketball rules. But when you walk into that gymnasium, I mean, it's like you go back in time. It's all wooden bleachers. It's, the fog, the fan atmosphere, them doing that KU chant. I would say, in my opinion, and I'm more of a basketball junkie, just growing up, always loving college basketball. I would go Allen Fieldhouse for sure. But what about you guys? What has been your guys' favorite venue? That's a loaded question, but
As a fan, I'm going to have to go with the LSU West Virginia game.
sure.
That I just remember being when they rolled out the flag, the big WVU flying WVU flag, and being underneath it, just flipping it up and everything. That was just unreal. The atmosphere, granted the game didn't go the way we wanted it to, but just being a part of that was something I don't think many people ever get to experience.
Yeah.
And then in a working atmosphere, when I worked at ASU, we were playing, I can't remember what Arizona was ranked. It was February 14th, so it was Valentine's Day, and we had a doubleheader. We had ASU softball playing Oklahoma or UCLA, one of those two, and we won. And then I'm sitting there, the men's baseball team's there with us. I'm finished my day. We're watching the softball game, and all of a sudden, some of the girls are looking at their phones, going like, what are you doing? They're like, we're we're tied. We're tied with Arizona right now. We should have been destroyed. We were not good. Um, I can't remember Carson was the kid's last name. I can't remember his first name. He was supposed to be a really good point guard. Never panned out in the NBA. But all of a sudden, I'm like, wait, I can go in. I have a pass that allows me to walk into any stadium I want on this campus during any game. So my buddy and I looked at each other. I go, how much time's left? They're like, there's like 15 minutes, 10 minutes left. I'm like, booked it. And we're running across the parking lot, across everything. And we get in time. And I stand above the student section.
Okay.
And just to hear the arena. Now, it's not a big arena. They put blockers up around the edge so that they lose about 5,000 seats in
Okay.
total. It's just because they weren't selling out for years. And all of a sudden, U of A is going down and they miss their shot, everything. And the fans rush the court. I have a picture of it, and you just see down, and it's like all these students just running past you. They're up behind me. They're running past me. I'm going, this is just an unreal feel. And then being part of the Pac-12 championship game.
Sure.
And it was the last time that the better ranked team or higher, standing wise, got to host the game before it went to Levi Stadium. And ASU got to hold it against Stanford. Now they got blown out, but I just remember sitting front row, and there's a little track, so you have a space between you and the student athletes. But I was sitting there just going, this is unreal. I got to help sell this place out.
Sure.
Like, that was pretty cool. I think those would be the top ones for me. What about
That's
you,
awesome.
Kev?
Well, see, like I haven't worked in like college athletics as much as you guys. So I would say for me, as a fan, the LSU game that you mentioned, Brian, is definitely up there. because I remember I couldn't drink because I lost my license that weekend, and then right after I had to go back to New Jersey real fast to get a new license, which was hilarious. Um, and then the second one that's super memorable as a fan, if anybody remembers the infamous whiteout for Pat White's last
Mm-hmm.
game,
Mm-hmm.
where pretty much it was like snowing and like below 30 degrees and you couldn't move. I always tried to like make sure I could like stay through most Mountaineer games, but that one I left like midway through the second quarter because I just couldn't feel my body anymore. I can remember going to that little McDonald's by like Pierpont, like thawing out because like you were so cold.
Yeah.
Um, but as a professional, I worked for the Rutgers ticket office for about 7 to 8 months, as like a part-time ticket associate there. And I remember working the last game of the season for Rutgers, their last home game. It was like a Thursday night against Louisville. So basically, this is the 2011-2012 season. Basically, Rutgers, all they had to do is win. Then they're going to either the Orange Bowl or the Sugar Bowl. And then if they lost, then they're going to the Russell Athletic Bowl. And I remember I worked from like 8 in the morning, and then we stayed there to help set up for the game at night. And I remember normally we like go home like by like halftime because they don't really need us after, but we were staying after just in case if we won that we were gonna start taking the ticket orders for one of those games. And I remember the atmosphere for Rutgers game during that time because they were pretty good then. The atmosphere was loud, it was exciting. And then I just remember Teddy Bridgewater just tearing us up. And I think his name, what's that quarterback at the time? I want to say Gary Nova just threw this fade that was like they're like 4th and 4, throws a fade to pretty much absolutely nowhere. And you just hear like a collective groan like all the way throughout the entire like stadium, and you're like, damn, that sucked.
Hmm.
But the lead up, the outcome wasn't fun, but like the lead up, that the you can feel the anticipation was up there. They were super excited. Everyone was ready to go, waiting for Rutgers to like, have this big moment, and then it just didn't happen. But that would probably be my main moment professionally.
It's crazy to think that our favorite, not our most memorable moment of being a student was a loss against LSU, right? Like, I mean, we just talked about how pessimistic we are as Mountaineers, and uh, kind of what just happened with Pitt, but that I just remember that. I mean, that was the first time we hosted game day. And
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
that was just a experience within itself. Um, and I just remember the vibe around that week of classes just being just like unbelievable. And you know, when you have the privilege to kind of what Merritt was kind of saying about, saying that you were a part of that from a working capacity when you're able to sit there, I helped sell this out. I think that's when you're able to identify that and you kind of get to be a little bit of a fan and it's not just a job. That's what makes this kind of extremely rewarding. So, quick tidbit. I'd say the best postseason though, best postseason. If you guys have the opportunity to go to Omaha, college baseball, college baseball World Series is absolutely legit. I had the privilege of being there a couple years ago when we won, and that is a very, very, very fun atmosphere if you enjoy baseball for sure.
All right. Well, that is on the list. I just because of West Virginia making it as far as they did this past year, that was pretty awesome. But I have heard from other friends that that is definitely a place to go.
For sure. For sure. I mean, like the Final Four is great, but you're watching ants on a court because you're in a football stadium. I haven't had the privilege of being to a national championship or any of the semifinal games yet. Knock on wood, hopefully we get there. But just the vibe, the just how the city of Omaha embraces the tournament and kind of roots for collectively everybody in terms of the locals, and you have everyone kind of coming in. Very, 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 very fun week for sure. So
Awesome. All right, Kev, you're up.
Oh, do I go to like our favorite question now?
You can. I know we're pushing our time limit on how much longer Kevin and I can keep our eyes open.
yeah, and I do appreciate you guys. I mean, I'm an hour behind you here in Central Time, so I know that this is a late night for everybody. So I appreciate you guys working with me on being able to put down the kids to bed prior to for us to do this. So thank
Hell
you.
yeah, no worries. But yeah, so I'm gonna go to our favorite question that we ask all of our alumnus. You are a Doc Jones student as we are. We would love to know your best Doc Jones story.
You know, that's
Or favorite moment.
Yeah, or favorite Doc Jones moment too. Whichever.
all right. So one of the things that I'd say is that remember when we were in sports management club and we went to St. John's?
Yes, I was there.
That was a trip that was just like, hey, hey guys, let's get in a Greyhound. Let's put 30 kids in a 6-hour Greyhound bus drive to where is St. John's? Is it in the Bronx?
Queens.
Queens.
Oh, Queens,
Yeah,
excuse me.
Jamaica.
Sorry. I should know that. Sorry. And just see if they're going to be responsible. So that would say moment. I do remember Doc, and I wasn't as close with Doc, and I love my time at West Virginia, and I love Bravo, Doc, Dr. Lee, everybody. I call them the trifecta. I thought that those were three great professors that really kind of, springboarded collectively everybody within our major. I do remember the day, and I don't know if you guys mentioned this, but I do remember the day that like we all had to kind of present, and he was just picking like random people that were scheduled to go on like a different day or something. And I say this because, and I see you nodding your head because I do remember Merritt being one of them to being like, yeah, Doc, I'm supposed to go tomorrow or like something like that. And he was like, no, like, he's like, no, like, I want you guys to go today. And you're just like, yeah, dude, like, I'm going tomorrow. So, yeah, I mean, unfortunately, I don't have a personal kind of story with Doc like that. I did see that you guys had him on this podcast, which is great. But yeah,
Yeah.
he was a man that truly shaped that up program. So shout out to Doc real quick.
Yeah. Everyone that we have had brought on, I'm pretty sure brings up the trip to St. John's and any moment of Doc just saying, "Hey, let's just throw this out the window and do it the own way." Because I blatantly remember what you're talking about, Brian, with it in class being like, "Yeah, Doc, I have nothing because I'm not supposed to present until like tomorrow or the next class, which is 2 days from now. So like, what are you on? Like, not happening."
Yeah.
I got that. Bring back the St. John's trip. Do you remember being in the bar at the hotel and just watching the dude do the Men in Black theme song?
No, I do not remember
Uh,
that.
I
No.
rem I
Okay.
had a video on my phone of this dude, and it no longer exists. I don't have it anymore, but I do remember sitting there at the bar with a bunch of us and just drinking, getting hammered with this guy that just singing Black Men in Black the whole time. I'm like, yep, this is New York for you.
Men in Black. That is, you know what? Fun fact. Men in Black, Big Willie style, first CD that I ever bought. Big Willie style.
Mike, what a classic.
Wow.
Yeah, that
Wow.
had like Men in Black. Hold on, let's see here. That had Men in Black, Getting Jiggy with It, Miami, Just the Two of Us. It was him. It was like blue or something like that.
Yeah, he's in
And
like a blue jumpsuit, right?
yeah,
Yep.
yeah, yeah.
Oh, man,
And
that's a classic. What a
yeah,
time to be alive.
Yeah, first CD, excuse me, not album. First CD that I ever bought, Big Willie style.
Damn. Damn. Well, let's just ask this last question. I think this one's a fun one because you have your three little kids. And Kevin, you can ask any other question as well because there's truly no time limit, but I know we all are exhausted. We all have to work tomorrow. You got three kids. What are you raising them? LSU or West Virginia? Where are you going?
Funny. So I gave you a little bit of history about me being the 21st out of 25. So it's in me. I mean, it's forever in me, right? And I met my wife there at West Virginia. She's one of 8. So they will forever be Mountaineers, like without a doubt. But when you raise a family in a college town and you are embracing the culture and the fandom and everything like that, it's very, very, very fun to kind of see your child's kind of fandom grow, right? So to Mayor's point, my wife and I are blessed to have 3 kids. We have a 3-year-old son and then 2 twin girls that just turned 4 months, actually 5 days ago. So from that type of standpoint. So, but being down here in Baton Rouge, some kind of fun little tidbits. My son sees any tiger whatsoever on like the computer screen on, tiger print, he points and says Mike, which is the mascot down here, which is Mike the Tiger.
Mhm.
We drive by the football stadium, he says LSU. His first jersey here, or his first jersey ever, was the coveted number 7 white jersey, which is given to the best Louisiana player. But I will tell you this, I'm very prideful of this. He does know the words to Country Roads. So
Good.
as much definitely don't forget our roots, needless to say. So
Awesome.
Love that.
Well,
absolutely.
my kid's first game was the Penn State game this year.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. I started him off strong.
There you go. Well, like what we talked about earlier. I mean, if you're going to be born into this, you might as well just get the losses completely out of the way when you don't know about it, and then reap the benefit when, you actually can remember the games, right?
Hey, it's like me with being a Patriot fan. I don't remember us losing to, the Packers in 93 because I was 4 years old, 3 years old. I just remember us winning against the Eagles, against the Steelers, against everybody, and then it all just crumbling apart in the past few years.
Well, you've had a long history of being a Boston fan of a lot of champions up there, Merritt. So, glad that you're now able to spread it amongst the rest of us, and especially Kevin and I and our scattered fandom, needless to say.
Yes,
Hey,
absolutely.
I'm gonna just take back the NBA championship for a little bit, though. I think we've got that for a little while.
That nucleus core that the Celtics have under the great leadership of fellow Mountaineer Joe Mazzulla
Mm.
will be a very tough team to beat. I mean, I don't think Paul George does that much for my beloved 76ers, but yeah, we'll wait and see. But proud of Joe Mazzulla.
Yeah,
It's great to have that, man. I mean, I know that you're a Celtics fan, but to see a guy like that, be on the Final Four team when we were in school there, and
yeah,
shooting free throws with his offhand because he had a torn kind of something in his shoulder.
Yeah,
And
torn
that's
rotator cuff.
right.
yeah. And watching him at the parade, because I went to the parade, knowing after the fact that he had a torn meniscus for majority of the season,
Sure.
you couldn't tell because he was jumping up and down and running alongside the parade route, like high-fiving fans, and 3 days later going to have knee surgery to fix that. Like the man is on a different level.
That team was so much fun. I mean, like, I know that they just honored in Morgantown the other day I think it's the 05 or 04, 05 team with
Hmm.
Coach Klein and like Pittsnogle, Air Bear, Patrick Beeline, John Sally, JD Collins. But to me, and I know that we were there, that sophomore year team that won the Big East tournament and to go up to Syracuse and shut down the dream team of what was Kentucky, that was sweet. I mean, when you look at that Kentucky team, Eric Bledsoe, Patrick Peterson, DeMarcus Cousins, they had a few guys that were like 6 and 7 that all went like pro, and we had no business. Many people thought we had no business winning that game, and uh, that was a very much of a core memory for my college experience when we were all there. So yeah,
Yeah, I love that. Always remember. I remember them getting off the bus when they came back home with like the Big East championship, and
Yeah.
yeah, that 2010 team. I like nothing will ever, unless another team gets to the Final Four and wins it. Like I don't think the 2010 team will like ever be topped, like ever.
no
No,
man,
no, we
no.
had no business making it that far.
And like the best thing about that team was it was like an influx of like senior leadership, which was Joe Mazzulla, right? And then it was just the core talent of those guys that came through with us, right? Like Truck, KJ, Ebanks, arguably up until that Final Four game, the Butler himself, Deshaun Butler. I mean, how he carried us through that Big East tournament was just, I mean, that is yeah, man, that was fun. It was us. Who else was in that Final Four? It was us, Michigan State,
It was
Duke,
Duke
and
and
Butler,
Butler. That's right.
yep, yeah, because Butler beat Michigan State and we lost to Duke.
and then Duke almost lost to Gordon Hayward's half court three.
That's right. That's
Yep.
right.
Well, to add to that, there's two West Virginia legends reuniting with Deshaun being part of the Celtics team now and the coaching staff. Missoula brought him because of us bringing in a brand new basketball regime. You got to kind of, no offense, clean house. And all those guys that have done great things for West Virginia, they're all getting great area, going to different areas. And Missoula brought up, Butler. So I'm excited to see what he can do for us there in a player development role.
Oh, for sure. I mean, Day was he at Wheeling Jesuit prior to coming to Morgantown to help out Huggy? He was somewhere.
He
Um,
was he in the G League? I think he coached in the G League. He's coached has
yeah,
a long tenure coaching career already at his what 36, 37 years old.
I love that stat during the finals when they were showing Joe Mazzulla's kind of career outlook, and it was like 5 years ago, head coach at Fairmont State, West Virginia, and everyone's like, "Where?" And we're just like, "Yeah, baby, we know exactly what that is."
We're like, there's a story of when Danny Ainge went down and met with Joe Mazzulla and was like, "I want you to come coach, be a part of our coaching staff." And Joe went up and looked and was like, "This is everything." And his wife's like, "Okay." And he's like, "But I can't. I promised a team and I have recruits. I can't come." And turned it down. And Ainge is like, "You're turning down the Celtics." And he's from Rhode Island.
Yeah,
Add that into it. Like he comes from the smallest state. Like he lived and breathed Celtics like I do. And turning that down as a Celtics fan, it's got to be tough. But that showed everything that the Celtics organization needed to know. And he has grown and he coached the G League team. He coached the Summer League team and then got tossed into it with the whole Ime thing. And now he is running his team the way he wants to. I can't wait to hear what these guys have to say. Like, yeah, Joe somehow got us to play rugby and learn something from watching sharks. Like, so I can't wait. So, but yeah,
Oh,
guys,
real
I
quick to just talk about Butler's coaching career. So he started at Wheeling University in 2021, February 2021. Then he was an assistant for the College Park Skyhawks for the G League. Then, as we all know, he went to as an assistant head coach under Josh Eilert last year, and then now he is, I believe, player development and like video coordinator for now the Celtics. And I think he's probably gonna help out with their G League team, I believe.
Didn't he have a stint with the Knicks too?
No, he didn't have anything with the Knicks.
Oh, I thought he did. I thought he had something with the Knicks.
I'm excited for Coach DeFries, though. I think one thing that I will say about our beloved Mountaineers is that I think, and I loved Shane Lyons. To be honest with you, Shane was unbelievable leader of our organization. I just think that, things unfortunately just did not go in his favor kind of towards the end there. But as we're maneuvering in this new landscape of college athletics, Ren Baker is a proven leader, a visionary in terms of being somebody that's at the forefront of this change. But he's also had a very strong tenure of hiring great coaches and stemming all the way back to when he was at North Texas. Coach DeVries, vamps that men's basketball program, and excited to see kind of what the winter and the kind of reformed Mountaineers will look like for sure.
And let's just shout out Ren Baker as one of the few men or few individuals to ever go to Morgantown and lose weight.
Yeah, dude. Like, I need to figure out what he's
Possible.
doing up there because, like I told you about the Louisiana food down here. I feel like I've gained a extra search size while being down here. But, well, I mean, when you walk into a situation, and I know I don't mean to make light of it, but when you walk into a situation that he did, the stress alone would definitely make you lose a couple pounds. But yeah, man, that he looks like a action figure right now. So good for him.
It looks like he has run the hills of Morgantown a few different times, or has asked, "Hey, y'all, you running Law School Hill today?" And he's probably asking the basketball team, or the football team, or any of the teams, and they're like, what?" And he's like, "Yeah, I'll run it with you." It's like, okay. I just
Um,
love it. He is a Texas guy through and through, but I think he's figured out this West Virginia stuff, and I hope that he is there for the long haul.
well, Morgantown's kind of tricky. If you find the right pepperoni roll and you get the right thing at Mario's Fishbowl, you can put that weight on pretty quick. So from past experience, I know that can definitely catch up to you for sure.
Also, being a dad doesn't help.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
know that now.
yeah, yeah. You're like the human garbage disposal for your kid. It's like, oh, what's he having tonight? Oh, chicken nuggets. Yeah, I'll finish this plate. Don't worry about me, sweetheart.
Yeah, don't throw that out. I'll eat that.
Yeah, no, we're not wasteful. Come on.
Well, Kevin, it is 11:35 for us. Brian, it is 10:35 for you. We all have to work. There's no way I'm waking up to go to the gym, so I'm going to sleep. But Kevin, I know you're going to wake up and go work out and work. So do us the favor. Did we miss anything tonight?
No, I don't think we did. This was a good time. This was a hell of a good time, Brian. I appreciate you. Again, I apologize that my laptop decided to just not want to work today so you could see me, but it's been a hell of a time to chat it up with you. Merritt, I really don't want to do the intro because I'm not on the screen. So you're just gonna end it. So we're ending it like that.
We're not gonna do an outro. We're just gonna close
Yeah, we're
camp.
just gonna end
Throw
it.
some beer.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
Andrew can honestly voice over one of my things from previous podcasts and just add it. So Andrew, when you're listening to this, just voice over one of my older outros and just insert it here. But before you do that, Bryan, we appreciate you for coming on, taking the time out of your busy schedule to join us. It was a great time to catch up. And yeah, man, me and Merritt got to make a trip to Death Valley because that is definitely on one of our lists that we need to
Oh,
see.
Hey guys, seriously. And first of all, thank you guys. And again, thank you guys for the opportunity to kind of share a little bit about my story and kind of, moving forward in my career. It's been fun to reconnect with fellow classmates and kind of hear what you guys have going on. And best of luck with the podcast and your own individual careers. But yes, you guys definitely need to come down because in my opinion, I know we talked about best atmospheres. There is nothing, I mean, truly nothing like a Saturday night in the true Death Valley down here. So let's definitely get that on the books. But again, just wanted to say thank you guys for the opportunity to touch base. Looking forward to staying in contact. And if you find your way down here for whatever reason, feel free to reach out and enjoyed the time together tonight, guys.
I am already looking up LSU football for the upcoming years.
Go for it.
Yeah, Kevin, I think we're going to need to make a trip down to Death Valley, and it's got to be a night game. I don't know if I can. I don't know if I can survive a day game.
So that's what happened this past week, and I don't mean to extend this longer than what it needs to, but we
Oh,
played
good.
we played at I guess 2:45 here, so 3:45 where you guys are at. And the way that the sun sets, it's part of our intro, it's awesome. But the sun sets on the west side of the stadium, but everyone on the east was still in the sun. And if you looked at a 17-17 game in September against UCLA at halftime, the east side of the stands was almost completely vacant. So the heat index is definitely here. But as I said before, and we were talking about venues, guys, there is truly nothing better than Saturday night here against any SEC opponent. So
I'm just gonna throw this one out here, and I'm gonna say let's end it here. Kevin, next year, Florida Gators go to Death Valley. 2025, the Swamp goes to Death Valley.
All right. Well, let's start looking for a close hotel, and because we're gonna need to this happen, because I would be down to hit up a good old Death Valley and root on them Tigers.
I'm definitely down. I'm gonna go to the Pitt game too next year because Kevin, I know you're still up in the air. You're still questioning if what you're gonna do. I'll be there, but I think that's gonna be the trip for sure.
Trip. All right. Hey, we'll start planning.
that's the
All right.
game. That's the game last year that Jaden Daniels won the Heisman. If you ask me, he balled out. So, yeah, man, just let me know and can do what I can. And in the words of the great Coach O, go Tigers.
Love that.
Love it.
Have a great night, y'all. We'll see y'all soon. Peace
Thanks,
out.
guys.
Thank you, guys.